Hey, so what's up? So I'm going to show you guys what the GameCube games look like on Dolphin Emulator for the PC. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you what the original game settings should have been if you have a GameCube. If you have a GameCube and you were using the GameCube to play these games that I'm going to show you. This is, kind of like a review of Dolphin and the settings, and I'm kind of giving you an overview while I do this critical review. This is so that you guys kind of can see why people like Dolphin and what's interesting about it. There are a couple things you can do. I have this set up right now with my mouse and keyboard so that I don't have to plug in a controller. I left my controllers somewhere else and I'm unable to get to them. But if you download the drivers, you can buy a Mayflash controller. I'll show it to you real quick. Here it is, Mayflash GameCube adapter. Go to Amazon. It's like $14 if you have Prime, 2-day shipping. It's pretty awesome. You can also download these Super Smash Bros. Edition GameCube controllers. They work with the Wii apparently to play Smash Brothers, but I just use them for my adapter because the cord is very long. And the cord is, in fact, compared to the original GameCube controller, I believe the cord is, I think the original one's like maybe 4 feet. This one's at least 10 feet. I don't know if it shows it in the description. It doesn't really say, but trust me, take my word for it, the cord is extremely long, which makes it super convenient if you want to buy these for your living room, for your Wii, for your GameCube, or Wii U. And then here's the adapter, and Nintendo makes their own adapter. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, here it is. Actually, no, that's not the Nintendo one. You got to be very careful when you're buying Nintendo stuff online. A lot of people like to call it Nintendo, and it's not Nintendo. I would go with the Mayflash one if you can buy it. That one's always available. If you can find it, I would go with the default Nintendo one, which has a similar shape to this. But instead of GameCube controller adapter, it says Nintendo on the top, and it's engraved. So anyways, enough of that. To the games segment. Okay, so we're going to start with Wind Waker. And you guys might be able to hear this. It's in a window, so I'm going to make it full screen. And here we go. All that stuff at the top, don't worry about it. It is just the textures being loaded and the game being rendered, which is no big deal. So it looks pretty like janky, at least in my eyes. Depends on what resolution you have on the YouTube video when you're watching it. So I'm going to hit start. And there's no memory card, which is totally fine. We're going to make one. You just want to hit yes to all this stuff as you would if you're playing the GameCube. Would you like to create a save file? Yes, I would. Now it's creating the save file, and since the file has been created, now we go to here, start. It's going to want us to name it. I'm always a big fan of, I just want the name to be what its actual name is. Usually I do that for the very first game I play on any Nintendo console. If I'm playing as Mario, I make it Mario. If I'm playing as Link, I make it Link, etc. Just so that I can get a better idea of the story. Then if I play it again, I might change the name to something funny or something I like. So here is the little part that goes over the legend. I'm going to skip this a little bit. So when you press escape, it says, do you want to stop the emulation? I say no. Here's a little cheat, if you will. My FPS is about 900 right now. You can probably hear that horrible sound. It's the audio. So this is like fast forwarding to the beginning of the game when you're at Outset Island. I'm still getting like 100-something FPS. Again, this is native GameCube resolution. Doesn't look that bad when you're in windowed mode. Let's see, let's go hit OK, make it full screen. And now when you're in full screen mode, I'm on a full HD monitor. When you're in full screen mode, it doesn't look as good, especially when you're on a computer, because typically on a computer you sit a lot closer to the TV than you would if you were on a Gamecube. If you're on a Gamecube, your couch is probably not, you know, a foot away from your TV. If it is, then props to you, but, you know, just as an example. I think it's really cool that I can do this and just kind of like play the game at like 3 to 4 times the normal speed. Although it is a little bad because everything moves so fast, you can easily drown. Okay, so here we are. This is the game. I'm gonna turn the setting off that allows me to play it with that breakneck, insane speed. So you go into config and you set frame limit to auto, which is best because no matter what the game is, it will run the game in the intended FPS. You might be saying, well, where is that useful? I thought, you know, 60 FPS is what you want, etc., etc. Well, for the GameCube, they ran all their games in 30 FPS, and then for the Nintendo, there were actually some games that were so robust they had to run in 20 FPS. An example of that is Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Wind Waker is running in 30, you can see it, it's in the top left there. So this is kind of what the game looks like. This guy wants to talk to me. I don't really want to have anything to do with him right now. But as you can see, it's a little pixelated, a little old school. The consoles do a better job of making it look not so pixelated on the TV. But on a computer, when you're sitting very close to it, it's very pixelated. So we're going to go over here. We're going to change, we're going to force 16 times 9, we're going to force that resolution, which will allow us to, or that aspect ratio, which will allow it to look a little better. Okay, so here I am changing the settings. As you can see, I changed it from the native 640 by 512, which is what it is now, to the, I'll go to 3200 times 2640. And as you can see, there's 4K, 5K, and even like 1080p and 1440. Instantly, almost, the picture improves. And just to demonstrate that before I mess with anything else, like full screen, yeah, it's not like amazing, but it's a lot better. It's still doing good. You might be saying, wow, this is really sharp, or, you know, you can still see the pixels and stuff, but it's not like ideal. So we're gonna hit escape again. We're gonna go big. It's not go to graphics. Here we go. Go to graphics. Enhancements. So then we're gonna add anti-aliasing, which does wonders for this game. Makes all the jaggies go away, and anisotropic filtering, and don't really care about this stuff. Here's what the disable fog does. I know, stark difference. You can really see it change when you look over above this bridge here towards the ocean. It doesn't do a lot in this particular game, but in other games it does. So when I disable the fog, you can see waves further behind this here as opposed to when it's in the fog is still on. So anyways, there's the MSAA, and here's the SSAA. I think SSAA looks better, but some of these things are a little fuzzy. And what I mean when I say fuzzy is like they're not easy for computers to do, they're fuzzy, but they're also like good. I don't know, they make everything look better. This is an example of what the game looks like. But I'm actually going to end the emulation. And we're going to go back to graphics. And full screen resolution actually looks terrible right now. So we're just going to put that to auto. I recommend that. And that's part of the reason why it still looked a little fuzzy when we were playing it. But here's this. Just trying to speed up the process a little bit. At the top you see all these messages. Alright, so now you can probably see the difference. It's full screen, no pixels, totally awesome. Totally great. Okay, so we're gonna make it just L for this time, since I don't really care. Then we're gonna go in the game, and it's gonna do that stupid thing again. I mean, it's a cool story. You guys should listen to it if you haven't. If you played the game like once, I recommend listening to it. Not really a big deal if you don't. So I'm going to make it 70, 80, 100 FPS, something like that. And it would be awesome. Because we get to skip this, which you can't really skip. So it's 80 right now. And the sound is killing me a little bit, so I'm going to turn it down. Now it's at 10% just so we can hear it. And the Gamecube, we hear all the settings. You can overclock this, and this can make the frame rates much higher. You know, it can cause some problems. There's a warning down here, but I typically make it 200%. You can do 400. Really want to. I don't think it really helps that much. It depends on what game you're playing. If you're playing games that normally would lag on the GameCube, then I would recommend doing that. Examples could be Smash Brothers Melee, you know, some things like that. Those games lag a little bit when you're emulating them, and improving the clock performance will help with those. But yeah, so we're rendering the game at 260% speed. You can see it up here. And now we're here. Yeah, 45 FPS. And I don't really care about FPS. I think the game plays great on 30. There are some computer games that play great on 30 FPS or really bad on 30 FPS. An example is Witcher 3 is really bad. You typically want as close to 60 or above 60 if you can get it on that game. Grand Theft Auto is an example of a really good game. You can play that at 30 or 60 FPS. The only difference is things run a little slower, which makes it a little like slow-mo looking when you're playing Grand Theft Auto. It's not as noticeable as playing Witcher 3 and being at 30 FPS because the game will start to tear and flicker and do things like that. Alright, so I changed that back, and here we go. It's actually looking a lot better. All the settings are there, and you may be saying, why is there this black border? Well, I just kind of put that there, show you an example. I'll back out here. You do the widescreen hack, which I kind of like. It makes everyone look their appropriate, trying to think how to phrase this, width. I guess width would be the way to phrase that. Let's see. Trying to find the setting, I forget where it is, where you can stretch the game. Does that make sense? You can stretch the picture so that the game looks a lot better. Here we go, stretch to window. That's what we need. Yeah. So we're gonna close this, and now we're gonna full screen. And this is the widescreen hack right here. You can see it. It's nice. You know, it's cool. Especially if you're broadcasting, I think it's useful because the FPS counter won't get in the way of the game. You know, this stuff down here won't get in the way of the game. It's not bad. The difference, and no, we don't want to put the emulation. The difference is, let's see if we go here. These are controllers, graphics. If we go to graphics, enhancements, widescreen hack, we took that away. Now we hit exit out of that. Now we hit full screen, and here you are. Now you're playing Legend of Zelda Wind Waker by Nintendo for the GameCube in, I believe this is close to 4K. It's actually technically like between 1440p and 4K. I'd call it 2K. But everything looks very crisp. You can see that. I mean, I don't know how well it will look on YouTube, but you know, everything's pretty crisp, pretty snappy. 30 FPS is the speed this game is meant to be played at, and there's no lag, and everything looks pretty good. As you can see, my graphics card is going between 31 and 30 FPS, and it really just depends. I have a 980 Ti, and the 980 Ti is very, very robust. A lot of people don't have these. I don't think it's necessary. I used to have a 970 GTX 970, and I think if you can afford $300, that is the way to go for a graphics card. It ran this game just fine. The real difference is when you're doing other stuff like I'm recording, and that's kind of messing up the game a little bit and putting some strain on my processor and my graphics card. But when you're not recording, game totally runs great no matter what. I used to have an i5 3570K and a 970. It worked great, and then I upgraded my system. Anyways, that's that game. I lied. I actually do want to stop that emulation. So we do that, and then we're going to look at Smash Brothers. I like Smash Brothers because it's a lot easier to get going than some of these other games. So yes, we're going to create a saved game data slot, blah, 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 and start. And I'm using my controls for this. You're going to see that Link has the skin from the Brawl version, and that's because I downloaded a texture pack, and so does Bowser. And we're just going to hit start. These aren't the settings I normally play with, but who cares? So, Hyrule Temple. This is Smash Brothers Melee, which actually does run at 60 FPS. Which makes playing this game a lot better. It's so much faster. It's like incredible to play this game at 60 FPS, honestly. And I'm using a keyboard, which actually is bad for this game, I think, because I'm so much more used to using. That's why all the PCs are on level 1. I'm used to using a controller when I play this game. Again, I don't have my controllers, but this is kind of what it looks like. You know, everything's pretty nice. We're going to be right here. I'm going to pause it. Wow. And we're going to look around. So you can see the detail, even on this pole right here. It's like pretty insane. The land is kind of like polygon-y, you know, like it's got a lot of shapes to it. But it looks better. It runs faster, which for this game I think is wonderful. Because this is a competitive game. It's like an FPS, but without being a shooter. Like, you need fast twitch muscles, you need reaction time when playing this game. So anyways, that's that. I'm going to exit now. And we're going to go back to graphics, and we're going to change the full screen resolution to auto. Enhancements, we're going to make this back to native. And we'll leave none of this on. We're going to turn that to 1. Return SSA to none. We're going to hit close. And we're going to start this bad boy up again. We're going to go full screen. And we're in burst mode. You can probably see there's a little bit of a difference now. The things that don't change are the menus and the videos. No matter what resolution you put this on, the video will still not be in HD or 4K or whatever. So here's how it looks when you're playing it on the Gamecube. As I said before, the Gamecube does a much better job of making it look not so pixelated. The Gamecube actually might have some default like SSA or MSA available to it. So yeah. And this is the game. Alright, so I'm going to exit out of that, and we're going to stop.